indulgence of our colleagues, allow me to show some of the most stunning and well-known parliament buildings around the world. First off, the United States Capitol building in Washington, D.C. is an architectural art piece completed in 1800 that was inspired by the Louvre and the Paris Pantheon. This building, which houses the United States Congress, is known as one of the most magnificent parliament buildings in the world since the time it was erected. The Palace of Westminster is an iconic landmark of London. More popularly known as the Houses of Parliament, it is now one of the most popular tourist attractions in the city, not only because of its architectural beauty but also of its rich history. The Hungarian Parliament building in Budapest, which was completed in 1904, is one of Europe's oldest legislative buildings. This structure was a result of the architectural design competition which they conducted in order to build a monument that symbolizes the independence of Hungary from Austria. The Reichstag building in Berlin is one of the most famous tourist attractions in Germany. It is a legislative building known for its glass dome, which gives one a spectacular view of the city. These buildings are known globally not only for their architectural brilliance, but also for their just representation of the dignity of the parliaments that they house, something which all of us in this august chamber will surely agree is also fitting for the Senate of the Republic of the Philippines. In addition, I think it is worth mentioning here that no less than our own Supreme Court has taken a leap forward in the groundbreaking of its new home, a sprawling architecture with its Philippine flag-inspired design, solar-powered and earthquake-proof structure. By 2019, our High Tribunal will already find its home at the Bonifacio Global City in Taguig. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, this representation wants to emphasize that talks of finding a new home for the Senate is actually a 17-year-old idea. Our hardworking Senate Secretary himself, Attorney Lutgardo Barbo, is our living attestant to the plan of relocating and constructing a permanent Senate building way back in year 2000 during the Senate presidency of Senator Aquilino Nene Pimentel Jr., the beloved father of our present Senate President. Lots of proposals were conceptualized since then, but unfortunately, none of such has materialized to this day. Marahil, panahon na upang isakatuparan ang pangarap at lagyanan ng kulay ang drawing. This time around, 2 potential relocation sites are being eyed to be the permanent home of the country's upper chamber in Antipolo City, Rizal Province, or in Fort Bonifacio, Taguig City. First, the city of Antipolo in the province of Rizal. Through its mayor, the Honorable Casimiro A. Inares III, the local government of Antipolo City has expressed its willingness to donate to the Senate of the Philippines 25 hectares of land located along the Marikina Infanta Road, Barangay San Jose, Inarawan, as a possible site of the new Senate complex. Since Antipolo City is offering 25 hectares of land for free, this means that there will be no land acquisition cost on the part of the Senate. Selecting Antipolo City shall, however, consider the cost of land development estimated at 4,000 pesos per square meter on a flat, clear terrain. The city of Antipolo is eyeing a 4-year timeline before the Senate can fully occupy the proposed Senate building. 6 months for design development phase, 1 year for the land development phase, 2.5 years for the construction phase. The second option for possible relocation site is in Taguig City, National Capital Region. It is situated in a 20,000 square meter or 2 hectares parcel of land owned by the Bases Conversion and Development Authority, or BCDA, located at the former Navy Village, Fort Bonifacio, Taguig City. The agreement being proposed by the BCDA is in the nature of an option contract. The consideration for the option to purchase is 100,000 pesos, and the period within which to exercise Such option would be 1 year from the execution of the Memorandum of Understanding or MOU. We will work out that this requirement be waived to avoid a possible issue with the Commission on Audit, Rules and Regulations, as well as the Government Procurement Act. With the property being valued at 90,000 per square meter, the total cost of acquiring the 20,000 square meter property being offered by the BCDA will be 1.8 billion pesos, which would be payable in 10, possibly more years. In one of the public hearings conducted by your Committee on Accounts, the BCDA expressed that they target the execution of a Memorandum of Understanding with the Senate anytime between October to November 2017. Based on their proposed timeline, the construction of the Senate building can start on the third quarter of 2018 and be finished by the third quarter of 2020. In this regard, part of my submitted individual amendments to the General Appropriations Bill now pending before this body is a 1.5 billion peso realignment as initial appropriations for a multi-year budget for the Senate relocation. I hope that the chair of the Finance Committee, the very gorgeous Senator Loren Legarda, will accept my proposed amendment in this regard. Mr. President, I am sure we are all concerned with the plight of the more than 1,700 strong employees and staff of the Senate. I would like to think that this is an opportune time to present the key results of the survey conducted by the Office of the Deputy Secretary for Administrative and Financial Services, which was aimed at gathering data on the views of the Senate employees and staff on the possibility of the Senate transfer. Out of the 1,714 Senate employees and the Senate Secretariat, 1,032 or 60.21% responded to the survey that was administered on September 19, 2017. From the said survey, the daily transportation expense of the respondents was categorized in 6 ranges. The results revealed that out of 1,032 respondents, 352 or 34.1% spent from 101 pesos to 200 pesos. 203 employees or 19.6% spent 201 pesos to 300 pesos. 146 employees spent 0 to 100 pesos. 77 employees spent 401 pesos to 500 pesos, while 74 employees spent 501 pesos and more on a daily basis. Out of the total respondents, 93 employees did not indicate their daily transportation expense. When it comes to the top places of residence of our Senate employees and staff, data gathered in the aforementioned survey revealed that 154 of our personnel live in Quezon City, while 130 reside in Cavite. The next top places of residence are Manila with 106, Makati with 73, Pasay with 69, and Parañaque with 65 employees. Most importantly, the survey results provided that 691 respondents, or 66.96%, preferred that the Senate be relocated to Fort Bonifacio, Taguig City, while 191 respondents, or 18.5%, favored Antipolo City. Further, 11.72% of the respondents answered that they are amenable to either Antipolo City or Taguig. Finally, 21 did not indicate their preferred location for the Senate transfer. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, it is about time that we turn this long-standing dream into reality. If we do not take action now, I am afraid that there will only be talks and talks again and again about this matter in the future or till kingdom come. And I tell you, it will be a never-ending comic cycle. It is therefore the recommendation of this committee to bestow the task of pursuing the relocation and overseeing the eventual construction of a new house for the Senate be given to an ad hoc committee, Senate committee, to be decided and created by this august body. Your Committee on Accounts will be most willing to assume this responsibility if tasked to do so. After presenting all the facts and circumstances, this committee will humbly leave to the entire body the decision to determine the relocation site, whether to move to Antipolo City, Rizal Province, or to the Navy Village, Fort Bonifacio, Taguig City. Mr. President, as so many Congresses that came before us have had before, we gather in this plenary hall to realize a long-standing dream. I urge you to support our goal of finally building a home for the Senate, whose members' voices represent the greater interests of the people, whose great minds craft meaningful legislations, and whose humble service build the arsenals of democracy. Together, we can give the Philippine Senate a dignified home, rightful of its honor and legacy. I therefore move, after entertaining some clarificatory questions, if any, from our colleagues, that our colleagues may wish to propound, to divide the House, to decide, first, if we will act here and now to relocate the upper house of the Congress of the Republic of the Philippines from its present self-degrading site, founded on a pathetic landlord-tenant relationship, to a more dignified, iconic edifice that we can truly call our own, and that this present 17th Congress can leave as a proud legacy to the future generations of legislators. And second, on the relocation site, either in the city of Antipolo or in Fort Bonifacio, Taguig City. I so move, Mr. President.
President, the motion of the sponsor is to decide. May we know what is the minority leader wishes to ask? May we recognize the minority leader? We both know what is the recommendation of the committee.
Minority leader is recognized.
Yes, Mr. President, the gentleman yield the floor to a couple of questions.
Certainly and willingly to the distinguished minority leader.
Just, we're curious, Mr. President. The gentleman from Cavite went through a very detailed study and presented the motion today, but we still have to hear what is the recommendation of the committee insofar as first, there is no question. The first question is, should we relocate? I think there is no one, I assume that everybody is of the view that we should move. The second issue is, where do we move? And we are still awaiting the recommendation of the committee itself. But before that, maybe I'll ask a few questions in this regard. A consideration in the movement of the Senate would obviously be a convenient working relationship with the House. We know that today, with the distance between where we are and the Batasan, it is extremely difficult, particularly when we go to BICAM, to coordinate the versions of the Senate and the House because of the distance. And in the other aspect, the Commission on Appointment, the extreme difficulty in coordinating with the House contingent, again because of the distance. Was the question that I raised to the good gentleman from Cavite is, was Quezon City ever considered? Was a site in Quezon City where the Batasan is considered in the discussion?
Your committee did not consider anymore Quezon City as a possible relocation site simply because I was told by Congressman El Rey Villaferte that he was tasked by the Speaker of the House to likewise negotiate with the BCDA to relocate to Taguig. In fact, also in the same relocation site within the Navy Village. So it will be co-located with the proposed site or relocation site of the Senate.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. That's a very sensible arrangement, setup that we move to the BGC because, in fact, the House is going to move there. Is planning to move there. So we go back to our original question. what is the recommendation of the committee? Is the committee inclined to support the proposition that it should be in BGC? Is it response to our question about closer physically, getting closer physically with the House? The gentleman said that the House has a plan to transfer to Bonifacio. If we transfer to Antipolo, then we're back in the same quandary. The House moves to Bonifacio, we move to Antipolo. We are in the same situation today insofar as the need for closer working proximity the House is concerned. So does that swing the balance in favor of Bonifacio, Mr. President?
First, for the information of the distinguished minority leader, I purposely did not make a definite recommendation as to where to relocate. I have my own reasons. That's why in my motion is limited to dividing the House in this regard. I leave it to the members of the 17th Congress, of the Senate of the 17th Congress, to decide as a collegial body where to relocate. Maybe I'm overestimating myself that I could exert influence of the members on the members.
Yes, you are underestimating yourself, Mr. President.
Anyway, my motion is limited to just
understand.
recommend
Yeah.
to just decide
Yes, okay.
here and now where to relocate.
The information that the House intends to move to Bonifacio, as the gentleman sponsor stated, is an important consideration in our decision because there is absolutely no sense in moving to Antipolo and the House moves to Baguio, I'm sorry, to Bonifacio, Bonifacio Global City. Baguio tuloy.
As a matter of fact, Mr. President, when we start operationalizing, assuming that we vote on this resolution now, today, they will copy whatever documents that we will be presenting to BCDA. That's the arrangement with the House of Representatives.
Okay, so we wish that we would be benefited by the recommendation of the committee, but the chair has already stated his preference, so we just have to vote on that.
I have my own preference, Mr. President, but I'll just participate in the voting.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. President.
Thank you. Mr. President, in that case, there are no other members who wish to interpolate. Let us call the previous question. I'm sorry, Senator Grace Poe wishes to...
Senator Paul is recognized.
I just couldn't resist because my seatmate is the one who really worked hard for this. And I want to acknowledge his hard work, number one, and his very detailed analysis of our options. But my question is this, because it will, I mean, obviously, in Bonifacio, it would be more convenient for many of us who are here. There are two things to consider. Number one is the outward development that we are trying to push outside of the metropolitan areas. And number two, the already crowded financial district. And BGC already is an established area where businesses are, you don't even have to encourage businesses to set up there. It's enticing for them. So adding the Senate and Congress there, my question now would be, would there be a parallel plan, for example, with DOTR and DPWH, so that the roads there, accessibility, maybe a subway system, is really considered in that way with the thousands of employees that will be working there? It will not disrupt or add even more problems to our traffic situation, Mr. President? That's my question.
As a matter of fact, there is already a plan to extend all the way to Pasong Tamo extension. This is to ease traffic in the area of Taguig. In that particular area in Navy Village. To Pasong Tamo extension, the current 6-lane road, which McKinley is calling Grand Boulevard. If this plan will push through, there will be an additional exit from Fort Bonifacio towards Pasong Tamo that would serve as an alternative route to the always congested Lawton Drive. Tapos there's also a plan to acquire a right-of-way on the portion of the property in BGC owned by the Department of Education. May DepEd property ron eh. In order for the 6-lane road exit to be extended to South Luzon Expressway or SLEX. In addition, BCDA and DPWH have already started the widening of the Lawton Drive, adding 2 more lanes, thereby making it 6 lanes.
Okay,
In
that's good.
subway,
Yes.
Ayala and Unilab, I think, it's already underway. They're putting up an underground
Well, that's good news,
passageway.
Mr. President. I'm glad that the chairman of the committee has already taken this into consideration. Perhaps my manifestation would be, as we continue with the architectural design and the deliberations for the planning of these structures, maybe we can do it in coordination also with DPWH and all related agencies to ensure the proper traffic flow in the area. That's all,
I
Mr.
will
President.
relay your message to the DOTR, your favorite department, Your Honor.
And yours, and I'm sure many of us as well. Thank you, Mr. President.
Majority Senator Paul, Mr. President. Majority Leader.
So, Mr. President,
Mr. President, just last manifestation.
Yes, Senator Subiri is recognized.
Yes, just food for thought for the body. That, and with the permission of course, the chairperson, the price given to us by BGC, by basis conversion, at 90,000 per square meter, in investment terms, is a wonderful investment for the Philippine Senate, because now the properties in BGC, Mr. President, reach up to ₱1,000,000 per square meter. So if we get it at 90,000 per square meter, that it's already times 10 in value actually. So my purpose for this food for thought is, it is going to be a great investment for Philippine government, for the Philippine Senate, to be able to get it at 90,000 per square meter, Mr. President, now knowing that properties there are being sold at 1,000,000 per square. Thank you, Mr. President.
Additional information, originally they offered 1.2 hectares. Now they're offering 2 hectares to the Senate.
but then, Mr. President, the question that is begging to be answered is that, do we decide? So that is the motion of the gentleman, that we decide. So let us move first to approve the motion of Senator Lacson, that we decide to relocate.
Is there any objection? There being none, the motion is carried.
Thank you, Mr. President. With that, in its proper procedure, the next motion then is to decide where. As the committee has proposed, the Committee on Accounts sponsor has proposed 2 locations. The one location is in Antipolo and the second location is in the BGC. So I almost wanted to propose an area near Okada, Mr. President, but so siguro.
Yeah.
Instead of a member moving to approve a certain location, let us just perhaps before we continue, Senator, the President Pro Tem.
President Pro Tem is recognized.
Just, I heard earlier from the minority leader that if the House moves to BGC, all the more that the Senate should move to BGC. We might want to rethink that position, Mr. President. If the House intends to move to BGC, my position is that we move to Antipolo. Thank you, Mr. President.
Senator Gordon is recognized.
Mr. President, first of all, I'd like to congratulate the gentleman from Cavite for very wonderful hard work And I think it's important to note that practically all the dots have been done and all the T's have been crossed. So I recommend that we go to BGC, and I'm so moved, Mr. President.
Okay. May motion na siya.
Therefore, there is a motion, Mr. President, instead of the suggestion that we choose one and vote. There is a motion now that we move to BGC by Senator Gordon. So, we want to know if there is any objection to the motion, Mr. President.
Yes, Senator Tiberos is nice.
I'm just want to place on record that as I did when we were in COC, I voted for the alternative location, although we were then in the minority, which is Antipolo. I would say Baguio if Baguio were on the table, but it's not. Seriously, Mr. President, vote for Antipolo.
Therefore, that can be considered as an objection, Mr. President, and therefore we should vote. So,
is there, let's put it into voting.
yes.
Okay, so those in favor of
Say aye.
locating the Senate,
Motion of Senator Gordon.
Motion of Senator Gordon.
sorry, please restate your motion, Senator Gordon.
Those in favor of the motion of Senator Gordon that the Senate relocate to the Bonifacio Global City.
Okay, is there any objection to the motion?
There was an objection, Mr. President, and therefore we must divide the House.
Okay. So those who are in favor of the motion of Senator Gordon, please raise your hands. I guess it's overwhelming. About those in favor of
Those who are against.
those who are against the motion. Okay, there's two. So the motion of Senator Gordon is hereby carried.
As an addendum, Mr. President, are you giving the Committee on Accounts the mandate to pursue this initiative? Because in that case,
Yes,
you're
then,
giving the Committee on Accounts that responsibility.
There's no motion yet, Senator.
Mr. President, I move, with the permission of the majority floor leader, we'd like to move that the Committee on Accounts handle the smooth transfer of our facility here, GSIS, to the VG.